Comments from the room? I've come closer so I can see you, and you all look pretty tired and pretty convinced that we've solved all the problems we're discussing today. No questions from the room?
At the back, here.
Where, up there? Yeah, please. Sorry, you're in the one shady part still. Can you identify yourself, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, citizens and public servants. My name is Angelos Charlaftis, Epaphos Advisors. We represent here the ECOWAS movement, a pan-European and Mediterranean movement which is based in direct democracy, in science and in ecology. Of course, and we have questions because we see that the public administration, on contre the Lisbon Treaty, which your think tank lately done is representing, doesn't share the decisions with the citizens, as it is requested. And even to the digital world, we don't see this interoperability to be in practice, and we use terms which they are inconvenient. For example, business and clients, I don't believe that they fit to the future of democracy we, the Europeans, were envisioning. Or should we...
do you have a question?
Yes, this is a question. Or should we think in this way, which is overpassed, because the system has another approach, as I spoke yesterday, the last 3 days at the Parliament.
Okay, thank you.
And ending, I would like to say that we are, of course, the USA paradigms are very good, but we know them and we have them. Why don't we use also other from Europe? What's going on in Sweden? In Norway, which are very improved in these technologies, and also what's happening in other territories, like in New Zealand, which at the past we had connections. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. And by the way, for the record, my organization has absolutely nothing to do with the Lisbon Treaty. We were named for something else called the Lisbon Agenda, and if you don't know what that is, you can look on Wikipedia, because it was a very important European Union initiative of a decade ago. Who would like to take the question? Do we have anyone from New Zealand? It's a shame Peter Gluckman isn't with us here today, because he'd be happy to have the microphone. Would you like to? Okay, here, we have an Australian. Come. Does anyone on the panel, would any of you like to take those questions there? Giannis?
Look,
do you want it for real?
As Greek first, I have to be cherishing this opportunity to speak to another fellow. I take one part. I cannot fully understand the whole question, but I take the issue of, let's say, the way we speak among ourselves and with our fellow citizens. And I agree with a part of these questions that we have to go a little bit further in making all this a little bit more understandable. But maybe this is not the panel for that, because we are addressing experts. And you know, many people said, and Einstein said, we have to make science as understandable as possible, but not more. I cannot speak easier than that, I'm afraid.
Well, I see one problem in his question is that user centricity and interoperability with standard elements does not match 100%. There may be conflicts that the reusable blocks do not really meet the needs of a particular target audience. So we really should be aware of this possible conflict.
Thank you. And I'm going to ask the last question, if I might. And a lot of information has come to you. What would you like to tell this audience? How could the audience do more to deliver, not simply on ISA², but we've been talking about organizational interoperability here. And I do believe, as I said at the beginning, that that's the principal problem we have. The technical problems are solvable. The trick is to get people to want to work together on this. What advice would you have for the audience here today? Trace, you can go first.
Very simply, talk to your neighbors. Talk to those people in the other communities of interest that you didn't necessarily communicate with on a day-to-day basis. Get outside of your offices and learn what they do, what their problems are, and look for ways that you can interoperate.
But I believe in the bottom-up approach and the case study-based framing. So far, we only looked at good practice cases. And I would like you to present all the failures, because probably from the failures, we might learn more than from the successful cases. So whenever you failed in setting up some interoperability service, send the case to the unit.
By the way, I agree with you completely, and I think that would be a wonderful topic for your next book. You can put the case studies that failed. And I'm not being humorous. For all the reasons you said, you would learn more from the failures than from the successful ones. Yannis?
I will stress again what I said in my presentation. In this issue, it's about time we become a lot more practical. I applaud the new statement on your plan. I can read, but you cannot because it's the previous slide, but I have it here. And it says, develop common process models to describe business processes. Maybe it's the first time I read that from ISA, that we have to go down to the business process level. Just stating we need to solve, or you need to tackle organizational issues as we had in the previous versions is not enough anymore. And I applaud, of course, the service directory, but don't forget the service directory, the service directory is just a directory of the titles of the services, not the actual flows and what is supposed to be done there. I think that it's a very big instrument. I don't want to say weapon. It's a very good instrument for European Commission and also the European Union. It's a big instrument to allow the countries to give the same experience to all the citizens. Because otherwise, it's still, you can have a very good state in Estonia, and I can have a very good state operation in Greece, God permitting, and yet they will live in different states and will not share this common idea of Europe when they ask the same service from another member state. So,
And now, not for the first time, and certainly not for the last, and maybe because we're a large, cacophonous group with a lot of views and a lot of really big opinions, the final word goes to Digit. Natalia, would you like to have the last word here? Thanks.
I will be very short because everybody is willing to go for the coffee. So I will just take all what was said. So please raise awareness. So this is your role. You have been here, so now you can spread it elsewhere. This will allow to have feedback and share experiences, good and negative, to make us possible to do what we have said with the models, guidelines, and concrete examples. Thank you.
Thank you. And now just two more things for me to do. The first one is to, of course, thank our excellent panel, which will you help me with that? Thank you. And I'll